Well, I thought it would be important for us to talk a little bit about how we create new data and then also update data. So to do that, I'm going to work through a couple of queries and show you. First, let's create some new data from scratch. So I really don't want to mess up the existing data that we have. So I'm going to create a new layer or a new table of buildings. So I'm going to say select star into new building from TC buildings. So it's going to get all the data from TC buildings. We could just as easily have said where and then some clause, right? So there's a lot of different things we can do within these select statements. But let's first run this, and that'll just take a moment. That's done. So you think, where is new building? Doesn't seem to exist. So one of the things that you're going to have to do and get used to is reconnecting a database, especially if you make major changes. So we just reconnected, and now we do have new building. So I can say select star from new building. And sure enough, these are all of our data sets. There's 55,000 of them. Now, if you look at this new building, let's make this a little bit bigger, you'll see that there's just data related to its creation, but there's nothing about what property parcel it's a part of. So one of the things we can do is I can say alter table, new building, add a column parcel key, and then I want to know the type. So it's varchar. And why? Because in parcels, if we go down to our TC parcel and get information on it, you can see parcel key is a variable character. So we do this, and now I can say select star from new building. Let's run this. Oh, I got to spell it correctly. New building. There we go. Run that. So that's done, and we scroll all the way down to the end, and now I have something called parcel key, and that's null. Now I can do something like this. So, update new building, set parcel key equal to hello. Oops, I gotta make sure I select that text. There we go. And I'm having a hard time spelling. There we go. Let's try it again. And this is taking a little longer because it actually had to update the data. So select star from new building. And again, I spelled it wrong, so I think my fingers are getting a little tired. There we go. So now hello. That's not all that helpful. So I can set that. And I can do things where parcel key is not null, right? So or anything where the parcel, where the area, or something like that is different. So I can make all kinds of different changes, right? Where the B type is equal to industry. I can do those sorts of things. So let's just blank those out, and then let's execute it. Give it a second. That's done. Great. And again, I can say select star from new building, and now we can back in, and now the parcel key is blank. So you can see it's pretty easy to start updating things with different where clauses as well. So let's now create one more query, and this I think is one of the coolest things, is to be able to update a building or a layer with another layer. So I'm doing the same as we did before, update new building. I'm going to set the parcel key equal to TC parcel parcel key, because remember there's a property parcel key in every property. But the question is, where do I get that from? From TC parcel. So it knows I'm going to be looking for this value. But now I need some kind of a where clause. So how about where the parcel there's an st contains, where the parcel contains the new building. So ST contains is something we're going to learn about in a moment when we start getting into vector. But just for now, let's jump ahead. So I want to find all the buildings that are inside a parcel. And if that's the case, I want to take the parcel key for that building and then update the building with it. So let's run this. And again, it's going to take a little longer because we're actually performing a containment query of all the 55,000 buildings. Now, some of these, if a building goes over the edge, it's not going to catch it, and that's okay. We'll leave that for now. But this will at least give us an idea of how we're performing a spatial operation. Now that's done, and notice I don't see any results, and again, because it's an update statement, not a query statement. So let's go in here, and I'm going to just reconnect this. And we can look at the new buildings. And let's open up QGIS. There we go. And let's take new building. Let's throw that in here. And now let's turn off the flood zones. Perfect. So let's zoom in. So here is a building that's inside a property. Let's look at TC parcel. And here's that parcel key, 4011, and then a whole bunch of zeros. Let's look at this new building. Let's scroll to the bottom. 4011000. So notice what we did. We updated this building with a spatial operation. Now this building, I'm willing to bet, doesn't have anything in it. And sure enough, it doesn't. Why? Because it's crossing the different layer. Same with this one here. So this building won't have any data in the parcel key, but this building will have the data, and that data is going to come from the parcel that it was a part of. This is 4010 instead of 11. And we come here in TC parcel, and here's our parcel key, 4010. Okay, so again, this is a really cool way of having multiple tables joined together. And there's just this one where clause. We could have other where clauses as well. And I could say where the new building dot, and let's see what our columns are again in new building. It could be the building type, or the B type, where that's equal to industrial or something like that. So a lot of different ways we can start to integrate our different query together. But I always found that this is a really helpful command to perform spatial operations and update data. The other way to do it as well is I could say something like, let's copy this. So select buildings, our TC buildings dot star parcel key from TC parcel, TC buildings, where ST contains. So same idea. I'm bringing in all the building information and the parcel key. And I can put it into new building 2. So we'll execute this. Oops, let's make sure we select all that data. And not new building, it will be TC buildings. There we go. Let's execute that. That's going to take a moment. And then what we're going to do is we're going to refresh our data. So we'll come back in here and we'll reconnect. And now we're going to have new building 2. Let's bring new building 2 in. Turn off new building. And now when I click on new building 2, I've got all the building information and I've got the parcel key because I created it here, right? So there's a lot of different ways we can do this. Now, how do I get rid of that? Well, I can go into PostGIS and delete it, or I can just come in here and say drop table new building, execute that, and then drop table new building 2, execute that. Let's reconnect because you can still see them there, but if we ever tried to do anything with them, we'd get an error. And now new building no longer exists. And before we leave, I want to just show you one last thing, and this is let's look at that LUDESC that we talked about before. So I'm going to select all those into a new table called new LUDESC. So that's done. Now I want to insert some data in there. In other words, this is not altering, this is not updating data that's there. It's putting new data in. So I want to insert into new LUDESC which columns? The PC and the prop class column. Let's first look at select star from new LUDESC. And then let's execute that. There it is. So you can see our different values. So I want to update those values or insert into it. So adding a new record, PC and prop class. So I'm adding new columns. And I want to put the values 999 and new data. So let's do that. And we'll execute it. That's done. And then I can say, let's select everything. And we scroll down below. Now I have that new value. I can also say delete from new LUDESC where PC is equal to 999. And then let's look at all these again. And that's gone. So we're able to add and delete. And let me show you one last thing. Let's get rid of this. And let's drop that table. So let's drop new LUDESC. That's done. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to string all these together. This is another thing we haven't really talked about. So this, if I put a semicolon, the SQL interpreter knows, oh, you want to end this command, and then there's another command. And then we can do that, and then we can select star from. So remember how I've been selecting the records and running them? We can actually run a bunch of commands together, which I'm going to do right now. I'm going to run all three of these. So when I hit execute, it's going to run this. It's going to see the semicolon and know, okay, we have another query that we're going to run. It's going to see this semicolon and run another one. And we should end with opening up the entire table. So let's run this. And that's done. And if we look down below, sure enough, we have new data in there. So this is a great way to begin to string together a lot of commands in SQL. And we'll do that a little bit later in the class too. So drop table new LUDESC. And we're done. So that'll hopefully give you some better ideas as to how to start to update, delete, and add to data within your Postgres database.